And what Karen said is a perfect segue into Penny Sharpe. So, Penny, you've been a strong advocate for legislative reform to support the legal recognition and protection of gay and lesbian relationships and families for a number of years. So I have a personal thank you because my name is on my son's birth certificate because of people like these two women here. And when I got my name on my son's birth certificate, like I'm like choking up. It was a real moment for me because it meant that me being not his biological mom, shaking your head, it just meant a whole hell of a lot to me. So thank you very much. So, first of all, I want to ask you a question. This is totally not off my sheet, but so when they were like, "Oh, the lesbian, she's where'd you go to? Where are you down on Macquarie Street?"
Yeah.
When it was announced that you were a full-time lesbian, did you have any issues with that? Did you need to employ any resilience factors in order to deal with anything?
The short answer is no, but the longer answer is yes, actually. The longer answer is that on my first week in Parliament, I actually received my one and only piece of hate mail. It was anonymous and it was foul. And up until then, I'd really been quite unconcerned about it. We'd sort of weathered the storm, my partner and my family had weathered the storm of, Labor MP has a special secret, the big secret being that I have a partner and we have 3 children. But I'd had the same experience of Karen. It had been big pictures, and so that had been an issue. And I have to say that little piece of mail, and it still remains the only piece I've had to date, did actually quite scare me. I worried about where it would go next. I'm very happy to say that it really went nowhere, and it's been fine. So that's been good. I would, however, like to have the same rules as the Hellfire Club in Parliament.
Hey, Jackie, yeah, maybe you could take your rule sheet and pass it on to Penny so she can table that next week.
Well, I think I might get a copy of them and put them in my office. So I think that'd be really good. So there's a lot to learn there.
You're in full campaign mode, so it could actually come in really, really handy. So, what role do you think legislation plays for the lesbian and gay? Obviously, we're talking to the things that we've spoken about, but moving on, what role does legislation play, and what is our involvement as a community?
Okay. The first thing to say is that I agree with Karen in that legislation is absolutely essential. We cannot expect to be treated equally if our laws do not treat us equally. So for me, it is about removing every piece of discrimination that's there. Obviously, in the state, we've come a long way in that area, and the parenting reforms, I have to say, were one of the proudest things I've been involved in. I would also like to say that many of the people in the room here were part of that. Legislation doesn't change without people pushing politicians every inch of the way. And so that, I suppose, is the first point. You need to be engaged, you need to contact your MPs, you need to tell your stories. We've gotten there because the stories that we've told and living visibly and proudly in the community have changed attitudes. I know of stories of people that say, I don't like gay people, but gee, those boys next door are nice. But they're the same people that then will ring up their MP and say, why can't these boys get married? It is an outrage. And so for me, I think that's really critically important. But the other point I want to make is a slightly different one, and that is that, yes, legislation is essential. But if we even could wave the magic wand tomorrow, we still wouldn't be equal. There is so much work more to do. There is, our community faces issues around violence. We face issues of discrimination that are very covert but are very insidious. There is the issue of kids in schools and kids in the bush and kids in the inner city who can't find a place and who are bullied every single day and who die and who hurt themselves every single day. There is so much to overcome with that. I've got the bell, so the last thing I'll say about this is I'd also just like to acknowledge that we've come a long way in Australia and we should celebrate the wins. If you're a person in Uganda, we're nowhere near close. The final thing I'll say is that what drives me in politics is it's all about equality, and it's not over till we're equal.
So the secret to our resilience as a community would be to keep on your butt.
Yeah, keep
Is
on
that-
my case, but reach
And
out.
everybody, not just you personally, but politicians as a
Hold
group.
your local member
We
to
need-
account. There's a state election in 3 weeks. Have any of you rung them and asked them what their position on it is on removing the loophole in anti-discrimination? If you haven't, go home tonight and ring them and email them tomorrow.
Yeah, has anybody done that? But just a show of hands. You okay? All right, Wendy.
Can I tell you
There go, we
that
got
the
two.
Christian right have sent me over 100 emails on this already.
And we can all spend a lot of time on Facebook, can't we? We can also send an occasional email. Excuse me?
Can we just like it?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. You might need to talk to Penny about that one. Yeah. I don't know if that's going to work.